As we all likely know, Bill Clinton's presidency was filled with conflict, disputes, and problems. Nonetheless, his agenda was characterized by increased spending on a range of social programs plus health and welfare reform. In his presidential campaign, Clinton promised health care reform, tax cuts for the middle class, reduction of the deficit, and greater funding for education, job training, and general public improvements. During his tenure, Clinton was able to help secure and enact numerous social welfare acts that ended welfare and replaced it with temporary assistance programs, provided protection for women who fell victim to domestic violence, reduced discrimination against those with illness, and more. Clinton pushed for a stimulus package with the purpose of getting the economy back on track and investing in social welfare, but ultimately, although it was passed, it did not have much impact due to most of its resources being redacted thanks to the Democrats, who opposed it. Clinton pushed for health care reform and created a plan, but it ultimately failed to come to pass due to, for lack of a better word, excessive costs and financial gridlock. In 1994, with the help of newly elected House of Representatives Speaker Newt Gingrich, the Republican Party pushed a legislative agenda known as the Contract with America, which in short detailed the promises of the Republican Party should they become the majority party. As it turned out, the Republicans gained control of both houses of Congress in 1994, and they were able to keep most of their promises by making changes true to the contract. These promises included the balancing of Congress's budget, limitations on tax increase policies, increased funding in national security, tax cuts that benefited members of the middle class, financial aid to senior citizens, social welfare reform such as denial of welfare to mothers under 18, 2-year and out provisions, strengthening of nutrition programs, etc., increased protection and advocacy for families and minors such as stricter child pornography laws, stronger enforcement of child support, etc., reform of unfunded mandates and incentives to business, legal reforms to curb litigation, improvement and reform of anti-crime legislation, and term limits on federal politicians. Overall, Clinton ended welfare as we know it, for better or worse, and destroyed the safety net that it provided, causing many people in poverty to be forced into the workforce and potentially be out of poverty. Whether or not this worked is up for debate, but it definitely didn't help those trapped in the cycle of poverty.